Hey guys, it's Rook. How's it going? Got a Speed Duel deck profile for you today. This is the deck that I used to win the Yugituber King of Speed Duel event that was hosted by AVAULT that happened over this past weekend. This is my first deck profile in the GX era on the channel, and I got to give it to this Ancient Gear deck that I used to take that tournament. Undefeated first place, 3-0, played against Cyber Angels, played against Heroes, and Crystal Beasts. So this tournament in particular was GX only, so the deck that you're about to see is GX only. But for those of you that got the box, maybe you have a few boxes and you don't really have some of the old stuff, this is a great place to start for Ancient Gear. So like I said, this went 3-0. I'm going to go card by card, and I might give some insight on some other things that you can add in that might not be GX if you have that resource. So we're going to start with the skill here. For Ancient Gear, this is Crowler's skill, Middle Age Mechs. This skill operates a little differently than some other skills. A lot of skills are in kind of the skill card zone, but Middle Age Mechs actually comes out as a continuous spell. So at the start of your first turn in the duel, this becomes a continuous spell on your side of the field. So if you're going second, your opponent can't just breaker and do some magic removal on your skill right away. It doesn't activate until it's your first turn. But essentially, all Ancient Gears get 300 attack from this, and each time a monster is normal summoned or set on your side or your opponent's side, you get a counter on this card. You contribute this card with the counters equal to the number of tributes required for a monster. So, for example, if I want to get out Ancient Gear Golem, I would need 2 counters on Middle Age Mechs. If I use something like Gear Town, which we'll see in the deck also, I only need 1 counter because that reduces a tribute. Going into the monsters here, we have 2 Ancient Gear Golem. This is the big guy, 3,000 attack, 3,000 defense. Can't be special summoned, so you got a tribute for it. If this card attacks, your opponent can't activate any spell trap cards till the end of the damage step. So it prevents battle traps, essentially. Essentially, if your opponent wants to stop this attack, they have to activate something like Book of Moon early, like at the start of the battle phase, instead of when Ancient Gear Golem declared an attack, because you're not gonna be able to do that. Also, this is a piercer, so that's fantastic. You think about all the monsters that, God, the piercing, there's such low defense in a lot of these cards. So Ancient Gear Golem is just another perk, and it's just a hard monster to get over. So there's 2 of those. I found that with Middle Age Mechs and like the use of Gear Town, it's actually pretty consistent, pretty easy to get out. So 2 Ancient Gear Golem, that was a go-to. I found that pretty consistently with just running the 2, and it worked for me. Also have 1 Toon Ancient Gear Golem. The reason why I'm running Toon Ancient Gear Golem is because it doesn't have the special summon text, so this actually can be special summoned, and it is a good target for if Gear Town is destroyed. If Gear Town is destroyed, you can special summon an Ancient Gear monster from your deck, hand, or graveyard. So Toon Ancient Gear Golem is a good go-to. It's also got 3,000 attack, 3,000 defense. The only difference here is that it cannot attack the turn it's summoned. So it has Summoning Sickness. That's the only downside. So you gain the ability to special summon it, but it can't attack. So there's a little bit of a give and take there, but I just have the 1 Toon. I also have 1 on the side just in case I saw that I was having more opportunities to get Toon out with Gear Town as opposed to trying to tribute for Ancient Gear Golem. But 1 Toon, 1 Ancient Gear Beast. This is a 6-star, so with Gear Town you can get it out without having to tribute. It's 2,000 attack. Obviously, remember, Middle Age Mechs gives everything 300 attack, so this would be like 23. This one also can't be special summoned, so you do have to normal summon it, tribute it, or normal summon it for free with Gear Town. Similar effect to Ancient Gear Golem. If this card attacks, your opponent can't activate any spell trap cards till the end of the damage step, so when you get into battle phase, your opponent has to do something right then and there before Ancient Gear Beast attacks. This card also negates the effects of an opponent's monster destroyed by battle with this card. So think about like Newdoria is probably one of the most annoying that we've seen in kind of the old format. And other things that will resolve in the graveyard, like Giant Rat, we're seeing that, Zombina, other things like that. Doesn't happen. 2 Ancient Gear Knight. This is your beater. 1,800 attack. It's going to get over most things. It's treated as a normal monster while face up on the field, but while it's a normal monster on the field, you can normal summon to have it become an effect with essentially the Ancient Gear gimmick, which is when it attacks, your opponent can't activate battle traps, essentially. Spells or traps till the end of the damage step. So this one's just a fantastic beater to put out there. It's 2,100 with Middle Age Mechs out, so that'll get over, I mean, that's toe-to-toe with Cyber Dragon. That'll get over pretty much any 4-star that your opponent puts out. I found that it's worked pretty well. So 2 Ancient Gear Knight. 1 Cyber Dragon, it is a machine, so that kind of plays well here. And Cyber Dragon, obviously a fantastic staple that I've covered before. If only your opponent controls a monster, you don't control any monsters, you can special summon it from your hand. So it's like a fantastic, if you're going second, it's a fantastic first turn for you. You get Cyber Dragon out, and then you can start building your field. So 1 Cyber Dragon there. And talking about staples, we have 2 DD Warrior Lady, which is just, God, I just want to run 3 of these in every deck that I play, because this was so clutch for me when I was playing in that tournament. After damage calculation, when this card battles an opponent's monster, you can banish this monster, also banish that card. So like I'll draw this in an opening hand and I'll set it. And it doesn't matter what my opponent has. If they run into it, first of all, you need at least 1,600 attack. Sometimes they can't even get over that. Second of all, even if they have like a huge monster, you know, I can choose to banish, and then we both go away. which is great. It takes out any large boss monster. If you have trouble getting over large monsters, this goes for any deck, I suppose. Have trouble getting over any large monsters, whether it's attack or defense, you can slam Warrior Lady into it. You'll take a little bit of life points, but then you can banish it. So that's fantastic. DD Warrior Lady, I ran it too, worked really well for me. I saw it pretty consistently too. And then one Cyber Phoenix works really well with Ancient Gear. I was happy with this. This one's kind of more in the theme of the Cybers. But when this card's in attack position, you negate any spell trap effects that target one machine monster. So Cyber Phoenix is only 1200 attack, which is kind of a liability, but you can't, it negates things that target. So if people are trying to target Ancient Gear Golem with Book of Moon, can't happen. Things like that. Only spells that target and traps. So Cyber Phoenix was great support in that aspect. Another great thing about Cyber Phoenix is when it's destroyed by battle and sent to graveyard, you can draw a card. So this is another one where maybe if it's in like your opening hand, you can set it and it's pretty valuable because your opponent might swing into it and you'll be able to get the card draw, if anything. Even if there isn't really any machine for you to protect, you still get the card draw. So Cyber Phoenix just had that at 1 there. That's pretty good. And that rounds out the monsters. We're going to move on to spells, starting with 3 Gear Town. Both players can normal summon Ancient Gear monsters for 1 less tribute. So notice it says both players. You got to be careful if you're playing like a mirror. This is how you get out Ancient Gear Golem for only 1 tribute, and coupled with Middle Age Mechs, you really just need 1 counter on it. With Gear Town, you get it out. So that's how quick and easy it is to get out Ancient Gear Golem with kind of this combo. Also, you get out the Beast for free. Knight's already 4-star, so that doesn't really matter, but Gear Town helps that way. And you can take advantage of the second effect, which is when this card is destroyed and sent to the graveyard, you can special summon an Ancient Gear monster from your hand, deck, or graveyard, which I love that it gives you that option to kind of recycle things from the graveyard, or even if you accidentally drew it, it doesn't have to be just from deck, you know what I mean. It's fantastic that you can kind of pull it from anywhere. So this couples really well with Double Cyclone, which is a quick play spell that came out in the GX box. This is target a spell trap you control and a spell trap your opponent controls, destroy them. So like on paper, this is bad because why would you want to have to sacrifice something that you have in order to pop something in your opponent's? There's so many other cards that do that better. Well, if you pop Gear Town, you get the effect of Gear Town. So Double Cyclone, not only am I popping something my opponent has in the back row that could be threatening to me, I'm also getting rid of Gear Town, which means Gear Town's going to resolve, and I can get out Toon, Ancient Gear Golem, I can get out Knight. Those are the 2 targets, because the other 2 can't be special summoned. So that's a great example of Double Cyclone working really well for Gear Town. And then go into the traps to round out a 20-card deck here. What I used 3 Floodgate Trap Hole. Luckily, that was reprinted in the GX box. Floodgate Trap Hole before GX was only, I think, an ultra rare in the Trials of Kingdom booster, which was back in 2019, December 2019. So it's kind of hard to get a hold of, like a physical copy. But in the box, it was reprinted, and luckily enough, in an all GX tournament, this was readily available for me to use. So Floodgate Trap Hole was great. Anything that came out that was way too scary for me, I just floodgated it. I got DD Warrior Lady, I bonk into it in defense, and I banish it. There you go. Floodgate Trap Hole worked super well for me. Perfect example that happened to me in the tournament was Cyber Angel Izana, floodgated. I don't want to read that. I don't want to deal with that. Elemental Hero Flame Wingman, floodgated. Exactly. So Floodgate Trap Hole is also another staple that I would recommend in a lot of decks. It's just so strong right now. And the last card is the Wall of Disruption, which I've also mentioned before. Wall of Disruption, another great card you can tech in pretty much anything. If you're trap heavy, if you like traps like this, when an opponent's monster declares an attack, all attack position monsters your opponent controls loses 800 for each monster they control. And that's permanent. So if your opponent has 3 monsters in attack position and they swing into you, you Wall Disruption, every monster your opponent controls loses 2,400 attack, because that's 800 times 3. They have 3 monsters. So you think about like Cyber Dragon, Breaker, any sort of kind of 4 to 6 star monster that might be kind of maybe up to like 2,400, 0. They go to 0. It's kind of value. If it's like their only monster, it really depends. Because if they only have 1 monster, they only lose 800. And I feel like there's more room for value. I've done it when they have 2 monsters, so they lose 1,600. You think about like what's a good 6-star? Like any Monarch that's a 2,400. You lose 1,600, you're left with 800 attack, which anything in this deck can beat over, even Cyber Phoenix. So, you'll see the value in that too. I got some clutch, like 3 monsters out Wall Disruptions in that tournament, so that was really good to see. But I'd say 2 or 3 monsters you want to do this, but it's a great trap. And then going to the side, once again, this is GX only, so there is some room to side some other things, or even tech a couple other things. Like we saw people use magical hats in this deck, which is a great way to also get rid of Gear Town. The side, we've seen people put in an entire kind of spellproof armor engine in the side with Clausolus, Jinzo, spellproof armor skill. I had to stick to GX, so my side consisted of another Toon Gear Golem, like I mentioned, in case I saw that. More opportunities to get Toon Gear Golem out than I did with like Ancient Gear Golem. Another Cyber Dragon, another Beast in case. The one that I would note that I want to mention, this is in GX, and this is another trap I think we're going to see pretty consistently, is Straight Flush, which it reads if your opponent controls a card in each of their spell and trap zones, destroy all cards in their spell and trap zones. You notice how there's 5 cards on that trap, but with Speed Duel, it's only 3. So there's more opportunity to use Straight Flush in a lot of situations. I played against Crystal Beast, which is, those monsters are going into the spell and trap zone, so it's like a perfect deck to play this against. And it doesn't have to be like they have 3 set cards. I used this on Elemental Heroes, and the guy had 2 cards set, and then like activated Rhoda, right? So that's technically 3 cards on their spell trap zone, even though that last one is Rhoda, which is like not a continuous spell. It's not something they're setting. It's just something they're activating. That gave me the opportunity to Straight Flush. So that's a great example of Straight Flush working pretty well. And then the last side is a Cosmic Cyclone. Cosmic Cyclone was reprinted in the GX box. Fantastic magic removal, just in case that I found that I need a little more magic removal. That was it. That's the Ancient Gear deck that won me the Yugituber King of Speed Duel tournament. And that's pretty much all I got to say. I think I'm going to do more deck profiles as we kind of go more into the format. But I wanted this one to be my first one because it was a fun tournament. And I know that there are a lot of people that maybe just have the GX products, so they're looking, some of these cards are expensive. They're in the older stuff. So this is a great example of an all GX deck that you can try right now. And I wish you the best of luck. Have fun with it. All right. For those of you that are interested in the tournament that I use this in, I will be putting match by match out as the week goes on. So stay tuned for that, and I'll catch you guys later. See ya.